And right again. And left again. And come to center, stretch the arms out in front, and flex your palms up, and fist them down, and flex them up, and fist them down. And then circle your fists in the same direction. And circle the other way. And hands up on the shoulders. Inhale and open the elbows. And exhale, bring them closer together. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale, open. And exhale, close. And then straight out from the shoulders and do some circles. And circle the other way. And cross the arms, one on top, one on the bottom, walk the fingers back a little. Inhale, lift the elbows up. And exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. And switch and put the other arm on top. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. And switch and put the other leg in front. Clasp your hands, turn your palms out, and stretch the arms up. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, palms together, elbows out, and let the wrist stretch. And then other index finger on top, arms out and up. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, palms together, elbows out. And then Gomukhasana with the left arm on top, right arm around behind. So if your hands don't clasp, you've got the strap or strap alternative that you can use between your hands. And then moving to the other side. And then eagle arms with the left elbow on top. If you can, backs of the hands together, maybe the wrap. And taking the breath into the back of the rib cage. And then other side. Right elbow on top, maybe backs of the hands together, maybe the wrap. Breath into the back of the rib cage. And then taking the hands behind the back, roll the shoulders closer together, stretch through the arms if you're able. And gentle breath high up in the chest. And release and do a couple shoulder rolls. And we'll do that one more time. And release and do a couple shoulder rolls. And then moving into the table position, so you can move your blanket or towel out of the way, or if you need padding under your knees, you can place it under your knees. Bringing the hands to shoulder distance apart, open the hands up, spread the fingers out, thumbs away from the fingers. Press the floor away and firm the arms. And take a deep inhale, and as you exhale, rounding to cat back, dropping your tail, dropping your head. And as you inhale, arch to dog back, lifting the tail, shoulders down the back, chest away from the floor. And exhale and round. Inhale and arch. Exhale, round. And inhale, arch. And then I know you'll be disappointed, but we're not going to do fire hydrants today. We come to a neutral spine and stretch the right leg to straight. And switch and stretch the left. Switch and stretch the right again. Bring the lower back to neutral, take the left arm up, and if you can, lift the right leg and reach the heel away from you as you stretch through the fingers. And then back to table. Left leg to straight, pelvis to neutral, right arm up, and if you can, lift the left leg, reach away with the heel, forward with the fingers, belly moving up into the body. And then back to table, bring the big toes together, separate the knees wide apart, sit back towards your heels, slide your arms out. If you're able, bring the forehead to the floor. And then coming back up. And bring the right foot up. Press the heel down and bring the hips forward. So if you have knee issues, you might want to move that foot a little farther forward so the shin bone can stay straight up and down. And shift back and switch sides. And then shift back till the knees right above the ankle, shin bone straight up and down, palms together, turning toward the front leg, opposite elbow to knee. And back knee can stay on the floor, or you can stretch the back leg out to straight if you'd like. And then bringing the hands to either side of the front foot and coming to lunge pose. And switching sides. Knee right over the ankle, palms together, turning toward the front leg, opposite elbow to knee. Back leg can stay on the floor or back leg can stretch out. And then hands to either side of the front foot and into lunge pose. And then kneeling pose if you're able. Remembering that if you don't come all the way to your heels, you can fill that space with your blanket or your towel or a block. And then tucking the toes under and sit back if you're able. And then bringing the legs around in front for boat pose. Knees bent, soles of the feet on the floor. So with your hands behind your thighs, lean back a little, get your lower back lifted and your chest lifted. Flex the feet. You can lift one leg or both legs. Shins parallel to the floor if you can, knees a little closer together. You might be able to release the arms or you can hold behind your legs, or you can take your hands behind you. Whatever is appropriate for you today. And then releasing the pose, I like to go to cross-legged, but if there's another pose you'd rather go to, feel free. And then we'll do that one more time. And then if you're coming to cross-legged pose, other leg in front and folding forward. And then coming back up. And I'm going to fold my mat back so I can have my feet on the rug. We're going to do just that little somatic exercise to open up the back body. So to start out, hold behind your thighs like you did in boat pose, lean back to straight arms, and just look up at your ceiling and notice what you're looking at. So this is like your before picture. Just make note of that. And then take your hands behind you so you can lean on them. And slide your right foot out a little on the floor. And then flex the foot and curl the toes like you're picking something up with your toes. And then put your foot back down, slide it back, lift just the toes, leaving the ball of the foot on the floor. And we'll do that 2 more times. Slide the foot out, flex the foot, curl the toes, put the foot back down, slide it back, lift just the toes, all the foot stays on the floor. And 1 more time, slide the foot out, flex and curl, and then foot down, slide back, lift just the toes. And then we'll do 3 times on the other side. Sliding the left leg out, so you notice my leg is still bent. Flex and curl. Put the foot down, slide it back, lift just the toes. Toes down, slide the foot out. Flex and curl. Foot down, slide back, lift just the toes. And 1 last time. Slide the foot out, flex and curl. Foot down, slide the foot back, lift just the toes. And then take the hands behind the thighs. Lean back again till the arms are straight. Look up at the ceiling and notice if you're looking at something different. And then come on up. And then we'll make our way up to standing. So if you rolled your mat, make sure you unroll it. If you have a blanket on your mat, make sure you move it out of the way. And we'll come on up to mountain pose. So bringing the feet to fist width distance apart, inside edges parallel if you're able. Thigh bones back. Relax the tailbone down, lift the belly up. Ribs down, collarbones open. Stretch slightly through the fingers and relax the face back a little. And be aware that you're looking at your device, and depending on where your device is, might do funny things to your head position. So if you're down, you want to make sure that you're not taking the head forward and looking down. Maybe just lower the gaze, or just follow my voice. And turn the palms out, stretch the arms up overhead. Coming to Urdhva Hastasana. Pressing from the inner edges of the feet as you reach up through the fingertips, and allowing the shoulder sockets to move up onto the arm bones. And take a deeper inhale. Exhale, reach up and over to the right. Inhale up. And exhale up and over to the left. Inhale up. Exhale right again. Inhale up. And exhale left. Inhale up Exhaling forward to your flat back, sitting bones lifting up behind you. When they stop moving, you stop moving. And reach out to come up. Relax the tailbone down, reach up to go back, easy back stretch. And inhale up. And exhale the arms down. Stretch them out in front, sitting bones out behind you. Sit down into your chair. And take a deeper inhale. Exhale, fold down over bent legs. Relax your head and stretch the sitting bones up. Deeply bend your knees, come back to your chair. Press the floor away to stand up. And release the arms down. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, swan dive, forward bend. Inhale to flat back. Exhale down. Reverse the swan dive to come up. And exhale to chair. Inhale up. And exhale the arms down. 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale to flat back. Exhale down. Reverse the swan dive to come up. And sit back to chair. Inhale up. And exhale the arms down. 1 more time. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale to flat back. Exhale down. Reverse the swan dive to come up. And sit back to chair. Inhale up. And exhale the arms down. And taking the feet a little wider apart, a little bit turned out. You can come into a wider stance forward bend, or if it's okay for your knees, you can come all the way to squat pose. So either a squat or a forward bend, whichever is better for you today. And then hands down, sitting bones up behind you. Wiggle the feet closer together and come on up. And we're going to move into an opening Parsvottanasana. So this is just to help open the hamstrings a little. So if you have blocks, bring the blocks to the front of your mat. If you don't have blocks, you might look around to see if there's a piece of furniture in the room that's appropriate. So you can use a chair cushion or the back of a chair or a bookcase or a windowsill to put your hands on to support your upper body weight. So right leg forward, left leg back, a little space between the feet. Back legs turned out a little bit. Pelvis is square to the front of your mat. Hands on your hips, shoulders on your back, firming both of the legs. And then folding forward to flat back. When your sitting bones stop moving, bring the fingertips to the blocks or whatever you're using to support your upper body. And lift up a little so you have a little room to play. See if you can make your back a little flatter. Let the belly move in and up. Move the shoulders down the back. And firm the leg muscles into the bones. And then check, and if that front leg is still comfortable, you might come down farther with the pelvis folding over the legs. So we're trying not to round the upper back. We want the shoulder blades descending toward the waist, with the pelvis folding. And then just take a few breaths there. Keep the leg muscles engaged. And take a deeper inhale. As you exhale, press down into your feet, stretch your spine forward, put your hands on your hips and come all the way up. And switch sides. Keeping that little space between the feet. Pelvis square to the front of the mat, legs firm, shoulders on the back, elbows close together with the hands on the hips, folding forward to flat back. When your sitting bones stop lifting, fingertips to the blocks, lift up a little, make the back a little flatter, head right in line with the spine. So the crown of the head is shining into the room. Firming the leg muscles to the bones. If things are still comfortable and you can fold the pelvis farther forward, you can come down more or stay right where you are. You just take a few relaxing breaths, allowing the back of the front leg to release a little bit. And then take a deeper inhale. As you exhale, press down into your feet, lengthen the spine forward, hands on the hips, elbows back, and lift the torso up, and step the back foot up. And if you're using blocks, you can move them out of the way. And we're going to come back down into table position to do cats and dogs again. So we're going to move through a number of back bending and heart opening poses. In all cases, you should be working in a place where your lower back is comfortable. So sometimes it's a matter of making a little more length in the lower back. The vertebra in the lumbar area are really big and clunky, and their processes are really big, so they bump into each other if we compress the lower back. So we would like to lengthen the tailbone and lift the rib cage to make more space in here. So that we can open up the upper chest. So remembering the back bending poses, whether it's bridge or camel, we're not doing wheel today, no worries, are about taking the curve along the whole spine. So some of it's in opening up the hip flexors, and a lot of it is in opening the top of the chest. So a lot of the poses we're going to do today are going to work on opening this upper chest portion. So this cats and cows or cats and dogs, however you like to think of it. Take a deep inhale. As you exhale, dropping the tail, dropping the head, pressing the floor away with the arms. And as you inhale, lifting the tail, lifting the head, loop the shoulders down the back, and lift and lengthen the chest forward. And just 2 more times. Rounding. And then arching. And once more, rounding. And then arching. And then come to a neutral spine, tuck the toes under. We're going to move into downward facing dog with bent legs. So beginning to shift the hips back as you lift the knees up off the floor, keeping the legs very bent. Press from the hands and push the sitting bones back as far as they'll go. Head relaxing in between the arms. And then come up on your tippy toes and get your legs straighter, lifting the sitting bones as high as you can, bringing the heels toward the floor. They don't need to touch the floor. So if either lowering the heels or straightening the legs made you shift forward, so the sitting bones are no longer the apex of your pyramid, then bend the knees again and shift back. And if you'd like, you can pedal your feet out while you're here, stretching through one heel and bending the opposite knee, and then stay there for a breath or two, rather than moving quickly, giving the muscles time to release some tension. Switching sides when you're ready. And then first side again. And second side again. And then stretching through both legs. And then we're simply going to walk our way up to a forward bend. So bending the knees as you need to, coming up onto fingertips or hands up on the legs, and coming to Uttanasana or forward fold. And then either coming up through ragdoll or hands on the hips and stretching out through flat back. And we'll move to warrior one. So leaving the right leg forward, step the left leg back, turn the left leg out a little bit. Bend the front knee till it's right over the ankle and stretch the arms up overhead. So warrior one helps us to open up the hip flexors on the back leg. So if your pelvis is tilted very forward, you might come up a little higher and see if you can relax the tailbone down and lift the belly up to start to create that length in the lower back. Take a deeper inhale. And as you exhale, come to cactus arms, squeezing the shoulder blades closer together on the back. And inhale up. And exhale to cactus. Inhale up. And exhale to cactus. Inhale the arms up. Exhale the arms down. Step the back foot up. And switch sides. So again, back leg is turned out a little. Hips are inclined to the front. They're not square to the front. Front knees bent to right over the ankle. But that front thigh bone is moving back into the hip socket. So you're not pushing into your knee. You're retracting it into the joint and stretching to the back heel. Arms overhead. Tailbone relaxing down, belly lifting up. Take a deep inhale. Exhale to cactus. Inhale up. Exhale to cactus. Inhale up. And exhale to cactus. Inhale up. And exhale the arms down. Step the back foot up. And then you can come to forward bend. And from here, step your left leg back into lunge and drop the back knee to the floor. So we're going to come back to bent knee lunge, but this time I would like that front foot a little farther forward so that when we bring the hips forward, the shin bone stays essentially straight up and down. So bringing the hips forward, a little stretch in the hip flexors, press into the heel of the front foot and the top of the back foot. That helps to square the pelvis. Stretch the arms overhead if you can. You might also join the hands, reaching the fingertips up. You can look up at that if you'd like. Or another nice way to open the chest is with the hands on the hips and the shoulders open and the elbows pinned back. So whatever gives you more of an opening in the chest, you can actually take the pose into a little bit of a crescent if you'd like. Breath high up in the rib cage. And take a deeper inhale. As you exhale, release the arms down, shift back and switch sides. Again, moving that front foot a little farther forward. So as we bring the hips forward, the shin bone is essentially straight up and down. Front hip back, back hip forward, pressing down into the front heel and the top of the back foot. Your choice of arm positions. Breath high up in the ribs. And take a deeper inhale. As you exhale, release the arms down and come back to table position. And we're going to move into plank pose. So stretching the right leg to straight. And then curl the tail a little bit so you have a little less arch in your lower back. And add the left leg. So the backs of the thighs are lifting up. You're reaching to the heels. Tailbone toward the heels, belly in and up, chest away from the floor. And then from here, you can move to down dog for a moment. And then once again, walk your way forward into forward bend. And slowly come up. And then go ahead and grab that strap or whatever you're using as a strap today. So the first stretch we're going to do is called standing yoga mudra. So traditionally this is done with the hands clasped behind the back. But the primary action that we want to do is not clasping the hands and straightening the arms. It's opening the top line, opening the collarbones. So some of us can stretch the arms to straight without opening our collarbones. And some of us are tight in the shoulders and can't get the arms to straight. So it's often better to use a belt. So I take it behind my back. I like to double it. I don't know why. A little bit wider than my hips, with my hands facing forward. And you can step your feet a little wider apart for this. You can also do it fully in wide stance if you prefer. And lift your shoulders up towards your ears, roll them back, and then stretch through your arms, pull the strap apart a little bit, put a little tension on it, and lift it a little bit away from the body. And I'm going to turn sideways. So from here, you're just going to come into forward bend. It's not so important that that strap goes over your head. It's more important that it reaches away from you as it lifts up, so the shoulder blades move closer together and the pectoral muscles stay open. So whatever your forward bend looks like, and if you want a little more stretch out of the strap, you stretch it away from you and then towards your head. Away and then toward the head. This can be a rather intense stretch on the pectoral muscles and the anterior deltoids, so work where it's appropriate for you. To come out of the pose, we're going to have that imaginary person that's standing behind us begin to pull the strap a little bit away from us. So that strap pulling away is what stretches us out to flat back, and then all the way up, and then release the pose and do a couple shoulder rolls. So the next one most of you have done with me before. We're going to stretch the strap or belt wide apart, and you can have your feet a little wider apart also. Get your mountain pose on. A little tension on the strap. And inhale and take the strap up. We want to work where we can have straight elbows. So if you need to, you slide your hands farther away from each other. And then on an exhale, begin to take the strap behind you. So it doesn't have to go all the way down. That's very comfortable for me to do, but for you, it might just be taking it behind the head. And then as we inhale, we're going to bring the strap back up, lift it up and bring it down in front. And if you needed to bend your elbows to do that, you slide the hands farther apart. If it was too easy, you bring the hands closer together. Tension on the strap. We don't get any medals for having the hands closer together, so it's whatever is appropriate for you. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, take it behind your back. Inhale up. Exhale down in front. 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale. See if you can make the motion a little less tense, a little breath filled. Up and down in front. Last time. Just a lot of movement in the shoulder joint. And inhale up and exhale down in front. And then we're going to do Gomukhasana one more time. So if you use a strap between your hands for this, you can keep the strap. If you don't use a strap between your hands, you can ditch the strap. When you're using the strap, the top hand holds and the bottom hand holds. And you can use the top hand to help lift the bottom hand and the bottom hand to help draw down the top hand. And you can wiggle your hands closer together. So whichever side you'd like to do first. If you bring your awareness to the shoulder of the top arm, that shoulder blade should be moving away from midline and feel like it's wrapping around the rib cage as the elbow lifts. The shoulder blade on the arm that's on the bottom is moving toward midline and down the back. And you may notice if you're able to do that, that kind of directs the breath really into the front of the heart center. And then moving into the other side. So the top arm is externally rotating. So the elbow is trying to move forward as much as you're able. So the back of the arm is facing forward. Shoulder blade moving away and wrapping around the rib cage. Bottom arm, the shoulder blade is moving toward midline and down the back. Gently deeper breaths. And then as you exhale, slowly releasing. And you can get rid of your strap. And we're going to come back down into table position. And the first pose we're going to do is puppy stretch, which I did not do in warm-ups today because I knew we'd be doing it here. So with the hips over the knees, walk the hands forward. And sit back into the hips a little as you lower the chest toward the floor, and you might slide your arms out more. If you're able, rest on your forehead. If you're resting on your forehead and your shoulders are totally comfortable, you might move to your chin. If your forehead doesn't make it to the floor, you might support it with your block. And you might notice that it's a little easier to breathe into the back of the heart space in this pose. And then walking the hands back up to table position. And now we're going to do thread the needle. So in table, taking the right arm out to the side, and then thread it in between the left knee and the left wrist. And if you're able, come down onto the side of your shoulder. And to begin, just stack your hands. So the hands can stay stacked, or you can open the left arm toward the ceiling. You can also put it on your hip and roll your shoulder open. Or you can turn the palm to face the floor and take the arm overhead, which is a little different stretch. So up alongside the ear. You may also notice that you can use the right arm on the floor, pressing against the floor to help you rotate the torso a little bit. So whichever arm position allows you to comfortably twist. And then just notice where you're able to breathe in this pose. Again, it might be the back of the heart center. And then bringing the left hand back to original position and pressing into that to come up to table. I'm going to turn my whole body around just because it's easier to talk to the camera that way. And this time taking the left arm out to the side and threading the left arm between the right knee and the right wrist, coming down onto the side of the arm and the shoulder, and beginning by stacking the hands. You can leave them stacked, or you can open the right arm to the ceiling. You can put the right hand on your hip, or you may take the right arm alongside your ear. And again, you can use the left arm for a little bit of leverage, but always leverage, not torque. And then just notice where you're able to breathe. Bringing the right hand back to table position so you can use that to press up out of the pose. And then I'm going to have you sit back into child's pose, or what would be a comfortable resting position for you. You can separate the knees if that's better for you. And then making your way back up. So we're going to turn, if you need to face the long edge of your mat. So we can do gate pose. So once I'm facing the long edge of my mat, I'm going to move back. Because when I take my leg out to the side, I don't have that perfect straddle split. I don't think any of us do. So therefore my foot is going to be forward of my knee, and I'd like my foot to still be on my mat. So taking the right leg out to the right. So my right foot is close to the front edge of my mat, actually the front corner. So I'm one of those people who can have a straight leg and fully extend my foot with the foot on the floor. That might not work for you. So if you need to, you can have a little bend in the knee and scoot the foot back a little bit. You can also flex the foot, but it's easier. I think you have more balance if the foot's on the floor. And stretching the arms out to the sides. Relax the tailbone down and back and lift the belly up in front. Hug the muscles into the bones on the legs. Take the right arm to the right thigh, palm facing upward. Take the left arm up alongside your ear, palm facing right. And then reach up through that left arm and reach over toward the right, maybe sliding that right hand down your right leg. To the degree you're able, keeping the chest turned toward the long edge of the mat. So as you breathe, you might breathe into your left lung and expand that. And as you exhale, relaxing the right waist. And just do that for 2 more breaths. And then reaching up to come out. So the other side is a little trickier in that we're going to take the left hand down to the mat. So I'm going to be on teacup fingers, but you might find that you do better with the block or something underneath your hands, and then stretching the right arm up. And it can go straight up to the ceiling, or it can go overhead with the palm facing the floor, and that gets a nice stretch on the whole right side of the body. So now breathing into the right lung to help expand. And using that breath with that expansion, relaxation response that we worked with earlier. Nice little rhythm of the breath. And then on an inhale, using that top arm to help you come up. And coming to center, release the arms, bend the knee, come back to kneeling, both legs, and then stretching the left leg out to the side. So again, the foot is forward of the knee for most of us, and that's okay. And if you need to, bending the knee a little bit so you can comfortably have the foot on the floor. Just make sure if you're doing that, that you're not like leaning into the leg. If you're bending the knee, you might want to bring the foot closer to you. Stretch the arms out to the sides. Tailbone down and back, belly up in front, rib cage down in front. Left arm palm up, resting on the leg. Turn the palm up on the right arm, take it up alongside the ear. As you inhale, lengthen the whole right side of the body. And as you exhale, fold over toward the left, sliding the left hand down the left. Inhaling into the right lung. Exhale, relax the left waist. And do that for 2 more breaths. And then on an inhale, using the top arm to lift you up. Arms out to the side, bringing the right fingertips to the floor, or walk if you're able. And then taking the left arm up to the ceiling or alongside your ear. If you're able to, get your hips underneath you a little bit more. Reach from your foot to your fingertips. And on an inhale, lifting up. And then coming back to 2 knees. And you might choose to sit back on your heels or move into child's pose, whatever would feel like a little rest for you. So now we're going to do a couple of stronger back bends. We do fish pose, camel pose, and cobra pose. So for fish pose, you have options. You're welcome to set it up as a supported fish. And so for supported fish, you would take your blanket or towel and roll the long edge and put it across your mat and then lie back over it so that it pretty much supports the shoulder blades and your armpits fall to the floor side of the leg. And the arms straight out to the side. You can have something under your head if you like, and you could relax there. Or you could do active fish along with me. So I will talk you through that. And if you do need neck support in fish, feel free to put a blanket or towel roll underneath your neck. So I've had good success with that. So for fish pose, the legs are extended, they're active, they're together, and you kind of zip them up like a mer person tail. Lie down on your back. I like to have my palms facing my thighs with the fingertips tucked under the outsides of the thighs. Press into the elbows and lift the chest just enough to tuck the shoulder blades closer together on the back so the collarbones fall open. That's the main reason I like this hand position, is because it enables the collarbones to broaden. And then pressing into the elbows again, lifting up away from the floor, shifting forward into your sitting bones, and then bringing the back of the head to touch the floor. So my head is only holding the weight of my head. The rest of my weight is held in my elbows and in my sitting bones. Legs are grounding, feet are flexed. Lower back is lifting, the sacrum is moving toward the front of the body. Chest is lifting, heart center moving back to front. Letting the belly move into the body, the breath is high in the chest. And to come out of the pose, you press into the elbows enough to release the head and come all the way down. And take a breath or two there. And then maybe bend the knees, bring the soles of the feet to the floor, wide apart on the mat, scoop your tailbone towards your heels, and then windshield wiper the knees back and forth. So that's a good release for the lower back after doing back bending poses, is lifting the hips up, scooping the tail under to lengthen the lower back, and then windshield wiper the legs. And then when you're ready, rolling to your side to come up, we're going to come back into kneeling to do camel pose. And I'm going to stay facing sideways. So you have options for camel. Traditional camel is done with the feet, tops of the feet flat on the floor. As you may know, I've had lumbar issues and injuries since my 20s. I like to tuck my toes under so that my heels are a little easier to reach. That just makes it a little easier for my lower back. You can also have blocks alongside you and use the blocks to stay up higher, or you can leave your hands on your hips or on your thighs. And I'm going to take you gradually through the different stages and you can decide what's best for you. So this is a place where it's very important to work on dropping that tailbone. So initially bring the thighs a little forward. See if you can relax the tail into the space. Lift up the front of the pelvis. So as we move into the pose, the thighs press a little forward so the thighs stay straight up and down. With your hands on your hips, lift your shoulders up and roll them back. Pin the elbows back. Begin to lift the ribs up away from the pelvis as you open the top of the chest. So you can keep the chin toward the chest if that's more comfortable for you. If your lower back is okay here, drop the tailbone a little more and maybe bring the hands to the backs of the thighs. Again, opening up the collarbones is primary. We're trying to open the top of the chest. And if things are still comfortable here, you can bring your hands to your feet or your heels or your blocks and then re-extend the thighs forward. Some of you might be able to extend the neck back, so chin in first and then back. And because you're by yourself, you can practice your vocalizing. So I've done this in class before, that if you simply drop your head back, you're going to lose your voice because you're closing your throat. But if you actually extend the head back, you never lose the openness in the throat. So you can la 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 or whatever, make sure you still got your voice if you're taking your head back. And take a deep inhale and exhale, bring the hands back to the hips and back up to standing or kneeling, sorry. And then you might sit back on your heels if that's comfortable for you. You might choose to go to child's pose or frog pose. If you're in kneeling, you might take a moment to do a couple of cat and cow backs. And we've got one more back bend to do, and that's cobra pose. So coming down onto your elbows to start. So you're in Sphinx. And use this time to adjust your legs so that the fronts of your legs are facing the floor and the backs of the legs are facing the ceiling. And then making a little space in the lumbar. So firm the legs, kneecaps will come up off the floor, tailbone toward the heels, drawing the ribs a little forward, and then press into the hands, release the elbows, come down onto your forehead, hands alongside the breasts. Roll your shoulders up towards your ears and onto your back. Hug the elbows in and shrug the elbow points down toward the waist. So it's the hug and shrug. And then lengthen the crown of the head forward and lifting from the back of the head, lift the head and the chest with no weight in the hands. You might even take the hands off the floor. Hug and shrug the elbows, stretch through the legs. Breathe, please. And then on your next exhale, release down for a moment. Find a little more length in the lower back, tailbone toward the heels. Coming up one more time. This time, if you'd like, taking some weight into the hands, drawing the chest forward, stretching through the legs, chin back, breath in the chest. And then as you exhale, slowly lowering down, cross your arms up in the front of your mat, turn your head to the side, let your heels flop open. Maybe let your hips swish back and forth a little bit. Breathe into the belly against the floor. And then turning your head to the other side. And then we're going to move into Makarasana or crocodile pose. So separate the legs a little more, and then you might turn the legs out. So we're resting on the insides of the legs and the insides of the feet. And you can stay with your head on your crossed hands, or you can come up onto your elbows and rest your jaw in the heels of your hands. So this is how I used to watch TV when I was a kid. I remember laying on the floor, holding up my head so I could look up at the TV. That's what this always reminds me of. But actually, we're going to use it to bring the breath up into the chest, maybe lengthen the rib cage a little forward of the pelvis. Relax the shoulders down the back. And just take a couple more deep breaths here. And then on your next exhale, if you're up on elbows, bringing the hands to the floor, releasing the elbows, coming back to have the fronts of the legs facing the floor. Maybe wiggle your hips back and forth a little bit. And then go ahead and roll onto your back so you're in reclined mountain pose. So everything that we do in mountain pose, doing it on your back. Feet fist-width distance apart. Feet are flexed, reaching through the heels, toes are pointing up to the ceiling, arms up overhead if that's comfortable for you. You can also have them straight out from your shoulders. And as you reach through the heels, try to draw the tailbone down and back, let the belly move in and up. Collapsing the rib cage on the exhale, expanding it on the inhale. And on your next exhale, bending your right knee into your chest and giving it a hug. Inhale, release, arms overhead. Exhale, left leg in. Inhale, release, arms overhead. Exhale, right leg in again. Inhale, release, arms overhead. And exhale, left leg in. And then you can go ahead and hug both knees into your chest. You can rock around a little if that feels good. You can circle your knees in the same direction. If you do circle, make sure you do both directions. If you like happy baby, you can do happy baby. And then I'm going to give you a couple of options for a final pose before we relax. So if you like to do sacral blocks or lower back blocks, that can be done with a block or a blanket. So if you don't have a block, you would fold your blanket so that it's narrow and lifted. So it's about the same width as a block. And starting out in bridge pose prep, putting your prop under the sacrum, so it's below the waist but above the tailbone. Back of the pelvis is on the block with blanket. And then for this particular one today, I would encourage you to stretch the legs out and maybe take the arms overhead and rest on the backs of the hands. So as you reach through the heels, letting the belly move in and up, letting the pelvis fall a little toward a cat tilt. So if you're moving into more arch in your lower back, you need to move your your block down your back a little bit towards your tail, so the top of the pelvis can go back. The other option, if you prefer, is using that rolled blanket and putting it behind you, the length of your spine. So it's kind of like a rolled yoga mat, but a lot softer. And you sit in front of it, maybe a couple of inches in front of it, and put that right along your spine, arms out to the side at shoulder height, maybe tucking the shoulder blades down the back a little bit. You can let the legs flop. So whichever pose works for you today. And in either case, allowing the belly to fall in and up, allowing the breath to naturally move up into the heart area. You can do longer, slower, deeper breath, or you can simply allow your body to breathe in whatever way you would like. And we'll just stay here for another minute, and then you can move into Shavasana for relaxation. And if you find that there's another pose or position that your body feels like it needs to do before it relaxes, feel free to do that. And as we move into Shavasana, being sure that you're warm enough, so you're welcome to put socks and sweaters back on. You can even cover up with your blanket. And you're home, so you can do traditional pose if you want, or you might want to do legs on the chair, or you might want to do legs up the wall, or you might want to do reclined cobbler's pose, whatever would feel good for you for a final relaxation. Or you can stay up on, if you have the blanket behind your spine, you can stay up on that. And if you're moving into Shavasana, legs comfortably far apart, comfortably flopped open, arms a comfortable distance from the body with the palms facing upward if you can. And the head relaxing so the chin is slightly lower than the forehead. And take a deep, relaxing inhale and exhale. And then let go of the breath and allow the body to breathe in whatever way it would like. Let all the muscles of your face relax. Relax your forehead and your temples. Relax your eyebrows and the space between your eyebrows. Let your eyes relax back into their sockets. Let go of your cheeks. Relax your jaw and your lips. Relax your throat and the back of your neck. Relax your shoulders and your collarbones. Your arms and your elbows. Relax your hands, your fingers and your thumbs. Relax your rib cage. And the length of your spine. Relax your hips and your abdomen. Your thighs and your knees. Relax your legs, your ankles, your feet and your toes. Let the back of your body melt into the floor. Relax the back of your neck. And let your head rest heavy. Let your breath flow freely. And hold your awareness inside and simply watch. Watching the sensations in your body as it continues to release and relax and let go. Watching the thoughts that pass through your mind, but allowing them to pass. Watching the movement and flow of your breath, but just watching. And then take a few deeper breaths. Gently stretch through your fingers and your toes, your arms and your legs. Slowly rock your head from side to side or do a big stretch if you like. And then one at a time, bend your knees and roll to your right side and rest in fetal position. And then continue to roll to your right so you can use your arm and your hand to help you press up to sitting. And we'll come back to the mudra that we did at the beginning of class, bringing the tips of the index fingers together, lifting the elbows, holding the fingers in front of the solar plexus. And close your eyes. And just feel the breath. Allowing the breath to move into the heart space. Watching the gentle rhythm of expansion and contraction. And then joining the hands in Anjali Mudra in front of the heart. Lifting the chest, bowing the head to the heart. And then slowly opening your eyes. Namaste. Nice to see everybody. I'm going to stop the recording and then unmute you.